A certain agency came in and the people will go for help. They ask, I need your identification, your driver's license. Right. They said, we don't have any, it burned in the fire. Right. And they said, we can't help you without identification. But here these people are already in trauma. Yeah. And hear that and they just clam up, they don't know what to do and they walk away.
When bureaucracy takes over humanity, we have a problem. I didn't know anything. How would we, I guess, right? Unless we immersed ourselves like we are right now. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't have this opportunity, how would I know?
You'd be like a tourist instead of someone who wants to come to Hawaii to know Hawaii. But what I would like people to know is we certainly would love to have people come and enjoy Hawaii the same way we do. We just ask that you come as if it is your home.
And I think we have an obligation, if we're going to tell the stories of what happened here through the eyes of the firefighters and the people that were directly involved with the fires, it's important to get this piece too, mm-hmm. so that people understand that it is not just a community that burned.
You know what I think? I think no matter where a person from Hawaii goes, Hawaii is always home.
I might introduce you because I got your name down pat and I'm feeling good about it. So, I want to show off my linguistics. Yes, yeah. That does not make me Hawaiian by any means. And then I'm gonna, I think how I want to play this is I want to talk about how we got here. And that's with obviously the journey of being here. And part of the story that we want to tell is to be sure that we're protective of the Hawaiian culture while we're here, to mm-hmm. educate. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say it all now. I want to go into that. I wrap my brain around that idea because I really think it's important that's a huge piece of this story. And like myself, I didn't know anything. We don't know, and why. How would we, I guess, right? Unless we immersed ourselves like we are right now. Mm-hmm. And so this experience certainly is giving me that opportunity. But if I didn't have this opportunity, how would I know?
Yeah. You'd be like a tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like a tourist instead of someone who wants to come to Hawaii to know Hawaii.
Yeah.
Not all tourists want to do that.
No, they don't. I can believe that. I can foresee that for sure. Hokulani Holt, thank you for having us today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Chief Amos has been taking us around and introducing us to people, and part of this project for us is storytelling. And the stories of the fires that consumed the upcountry, the fires that consumed Lahaina, and other parts of the island, that's only a part of the story. It's a chapter or one or two chapters of the story. But the other part of the storytelling really comes down to the cultural side. For myself, this opportunity that came about less than 3 weeks ago, I keep telling 2 weeks, but it's probably been about 3 weeks now. We put this trip together with an open invitation from a new friend that I value tremendously. And part of that, through conversation with him, was documenting the stories of the firefighters. Obviously, we're a firefighting podcast and platform. But the other side of it, too, was I'm intrigued by the cultural side, the faith side, the heritage, the importance of the Hawaiian culture. And so that led us here to the University of Hawaii, Maui College here, with you. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, and you could not have asked for any one person to come to see me than Amos. We have a long history and friendship.
That certainly shined through. Throughout the day, he's been telling people we were coming here, and I can tell you that many people were like, please tell her we said hello, as well as how protective he is of the conversation about you. So I know how much you value each other, and for me, that says everything. Mm-hmm. So I guess to start, right, the real big part of this, maybe a little background about yourself, where you come from, your heritage, growing up here and to where you are today as a teacher. You know, I'd love to learn a little bit about your story.
I was actually born in Honolulu, in Waikiki, and often when I say I was born in Waikiki, people look at me like, are people ever born in Waikiki? You know, in the time when I was born, many Hawaiian people lived in Waikiki.
Okay.
But when I was just a baby, I was brought here to Maui by my grandparents, and I was raised by my maternal grandparents here on Maui until I was 5 years old. And the agreement with my parents is when I was old enough to go to school, I would be sent back to Honolulu and they would educate me. But every vacation, every break, I was back here on Maui with my grandparents.
Yeah.
If you get out of school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm on the 3 o'clock plane to Maui. If we got to go back Monday morning, I'm on the Sunday evening plane back to Honolulu. So truly, half of my life has been here on Maui. Then came the time that I got married and I had my first child, and we were living in Honolulu on Beretania Street. And Beretania is one of the main thoroughfares in Honolulu. And we were in a second-story apartment. She was 3 months old, and I went, I don't want to raise my children here in an apartment in Honolulu.
Yeah.
So we moved back to Maui. And that was in 1976, and I have been here ever since.
It's home.
It's home. It's definitely home. When anybody asks me, oh, where are you from? I say Maui all the time.
Yeah. It's a magical place. I mean, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for me, Maui has the best of everything. It has the best of country and it has the best of city.
Yeah.
So you can, in a half an hour, go to some place that have almost no buildings in the space of a half an hour. And yet you can then go to the shopping center like any other place, any other city. So for me, it was the best place to raise children. I also have family here, so that was also a supportive time for us.
Yeah. What's really interesting, Amos talks a lot about family and how in the Hawaiian culture, it's all about family.
It's all about family.
Explain that to me a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It actually comes from a very ancient time, from our traditional history in which the community or the family helped you and your family survive.
Yeah.
They help you build your house. They help you set up your taro patches. They help you. And so come to a modern day, if you are so inclined, you make sure that you keep connected to your family. Today, we don't live, many of us don't live in what we call our Aina Kupuna, or the place of our ancestors. Because in a modern time, we have moved.
Sure.
The reason I was born in Honolulu is my parents are both from Maui, but they went for work. They went to Honolulu for work, thus I was born in Honolulu. But both of them are from a long history here on Maui as well. So we teach our children to be very conscious of being respectful, of being kind, of being inclusive when it comes to your family. You and I know, sometimes family doesn't get along.
Sure.
You know, we have our differing ideas of this, that, or the other thing. But when it comes down to it, when family needs you, you always come. You must always come. You might be mad at your brother because he said something stupid at Thanksgiving last year, but if he calls, you will come.
Yeah. There's so many parallels here. I think what's been really not overwhelming, but close to it for the last few days now that we've been here and watching, from having a barbecue with Chief Amos at his house and his family, and learning some of their stories, to talking with local people here and so on. Part of what we like to do is tell stories, right? And so with that, you have to listen. And so I love to listen to people talk, and part of that is understanding those relationships and how that works. And so understanding the importance of family and that generational value.
And family is more than just blood.
Yes.
Family is extended people in your community, friends of your parents, neighbors. They're all considered family. So that means, like, I have a friend that has been, my children call her auntie, though we are not blood related, because she has been my friend for more than 40 years.
Sure.
And so the extent, they know they can call Auntie Mickey if they need something. Just like any of the other extended families that we have, it's close.
I've heard this now several times. We just had this conversation. I said I've heard uncle and auntie used over and over, and it's not blood, but
Not
it's
blood.
people on the same level.
Yeah, yeah, the same. So this is, okay, on my Facebook one day, I put on my Facebook, do not call me auntie unless we're related. So my daughter always goes, Mom, you gotta watch out what you put on Facebook because everybody listens to you. I said, why? She goes, now I'm getting phone calls. Can't I call your mother auntie anymore? Can't I call your mother auntie anymore? And I said, really, that relationship is when we call auntie or uncle, it is a respect like our own parents. And so that means, like my own parents, they can scold me, they can help me, they can tell me go out the door, they can tell me go pick this up for me, and it's all good. And so that auntie and uncle is the respect of your parents' level and appreciation.
Yeah. Is that becoming harder and harder though? And I want to ask this with a lot of respect because you said traditionally properties are, people grow up in generational households, right? So, but as things have changed, the economic situation, the ability to continue to live within your family's homes and properties, that's kind of changing. People are traveling to the mainland because they can't find places on the islands, things like that. Is some of that cultural belief being lost because you're not able to hold on to those generational properties?
You know what I think? I think no matter where a person from Hawaii goes, Hawaii is always home.
Love that.
Hawaii is always home. And those from Hawaii just find a way to gravitate.
Yeah.
And so many of those traditions, outlooks, and behaviors continue. When a child goes away to college, almost always the Hawaii students and children find each other.
Yeah.
And then they start going to each other's homes. So it's quite a bit, it can be quite a bit of an extension of here if they want it to be.
Yeah. You used the word before, teacher, foundation. What was that word?
Kumu.
Beautiful, right? Foundation. I talk a lot about, on our podcast, about the fire service, and it's built upon the blocks and bricks that are inserted into the foundation from which we build upon. Very similar to your culture.
You know, one of the most important words, and I think one of the most misunderstood words, is aloha.
Aloha.
You know, everybody sees aloha as hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
But when you look in the Hawaiian dictionary, the definition of aloha, hello and goodbye, is definition number 11 and 12. 1 to 10 talks about affection, talks about care, it talks about being careful with one another. So hello and goodbye is number 11 and 12, but all of those attributes that we love about people are 1 through 10.
It's an all-encompassing word. I was trying to wrap my head around that as well as mahalo.
So like aloha and mahalo, just this is a linguistics.
Please talk to me. We know I only speak one language. We've talked about this.
But aloha and mahalo are new words.
Okay.
Because when English came to Hawaii, we had no word for hello and goodbye.
Oh, okay.
So when we said aloha, it is seeing the genuine you. And so when we use that word, they chose aloha for hello and goodbye. Mahalo for thank you. We never had a mahalo for thank you. What you do is the thank you.
Right.
So
right.
the word thank you did not exist. So they had to go and think about what does it mean in other places, a greeting, a farewell, and chose that because we did aloha one another, but that was not hello and goodbye.
I got it. That's beautiful, though. It's to have one word or two words that have so much meaning, and it can be used in so many different contexts.
You know, many of us, when we say aloha, it really, for us, the place of all feeling and knowing is in your guts, in your na'au. You know, when you go someplace and you go,
Yeah.
I don't know if I should go here, because your guts
Right.
is telling you,
Right.
But you go anyway because your mind said, it's okay, what's wrong with you? Just go in there. For us, if our na'au said, we'll go, we're going home.
Yeah.
And let our na'au guide us
Guide you.
and teach us.
Yeah. It makes sense. That makes sense.
Some people call it intuition.
Yes.
Some people call it feeling. We believe in that a great deal.
Yeah. But that's then the connection between mind and body, then,
Yeah.
which is very important to you.
Very important. You know, among the words that you hear often, aloha and mahalo, the other kind of word that maybe even in the work that you do is kuleana.
Kuleana.
Kuleana means responsibility, but it also means right. So in other words, we have a responsibility to it, but we really do want to do it. It's not like you have to.
Got it.
The kuleana my kuleana is to watch over my children. Yeah, I have to do that, but I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes kuleana is seen as, oh my God, that's not my job.
Yeah.
But not so much.
Okay. So then, following in the progression of your upbringing here, you found yourself getting your PhD. Mm-hmm. You speak and teach about
Hawaiian culture.
Mm-hmm. Give me a little there had to be some push for you to do that. Wants to maybe protect, to be a spokesperson for, to be a protector of.
I think it goes back to when I was raised by my grandparents. I was raised in what is known as a traditional Hawaiian household. My grandparents spoke Hawaiian to one another. They also spoke English, but they didn't teach their children to speak English because of what we call the historical trauma that caused them to think Hawaiian was not a language of education.
Wow.
So, but I was still raised in a Hawaiian household, which meant I was not taught rules and conversations and values. We lived it.
Yeah.
An example, our house was the last house on the road, so we could hear if people were coming to the house. And so my grandmother would say, oh, somebody's coming, go make food. And I go, okay, you get up and you do that. She'll go to the door and she'll say, come in, we're just sitting down to eat.
I love that.
Come and eat with me. And in my head, I'm going, oh no, we weren't, but okay.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's the same kind, come and eat with us. You know, this kind of hospitality is not only Hawaiian, it's found throughout the world. But I think here in Hawaii, it's given to all freely. Yeah, there's no expectation that there will be a return.
That's the difference, right?
There's no expectation. So growing up in a Hawaiian household, living Hawaiian ways, I went to Kamehameha from kindergarten to 12th grade, and it's a school for Hawaiian children. And the whole while, and I think it's because of my time with my grandparents, I really felt that Hawaiian things and culture was important to me. I come from a family of hula teachers, hula, my grandmother, 3 of my aunties, myself and my sister, my son and my cousin.
Wow.
It's a tradition for us. And so it kind of automatically happens. And so when I went to college, and then when I began to get into the work world, I still gravitated towards education and towards things Hawaiian. And I don't know if it was a conscious decision, but I come from a mother that says, if you want something, do it.
I love that.
You want to go over there, do it.
Go get it.
do it. And if you believe in something, stand up for it. And so those were the kinds of also thoughts and values that were set, that when it was a time when Hawaiian language was not valued, we brought Hawaiian language preschools into being all the way to 12th grade and then into college, because if you believe in it, you have to stand up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think being in that kind of household and in that kind of environment, I loved things Hawaiian. My mother loved things Hawaiian. And I don't know if it was a decision as much as, oh, this is
right for me.
This is right for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Home is so important. Our upbringing is so important. The foundation for which you build upon relationships is important. And so for you now to be in the position that you're in, you get to instill those values in a more modern way, if you will, through a formal education.
And also because, we have things like Zoom and videos and TikTok and all the rest in which our cultural information can get out into the world.
Yeah.
So one of the things that is really quite basic to Hawaiian understanding or being is place. Aina. A place is important to us. Where we were born, where our grandparents are from, where we see ourselves as being. There's a song and a phrase that we use, which is He Hawaii'au. And He Hawaii'au means I am Hawaiian. But more than I am Hawaiian, it is like Hawaiian is me. Hawaii is me.
Yeah.
Not I am, Hawaii is me. And sometimes, this is kind of dopey, but sometimes when I'm driving on the car and a certain song comes on the radio and I'm driving through a specific area, I gotta pull over. And just listen and experience the time and place.
You do that.
I do.
That's beautiful.
I do. And then I go, okay, gotta get to the meeting.
Yeah.
Gotta get back on the road.
But it's a reminder. It's almost like for me, something like that it's almost like a reset for me. Like I need that moment to ground myself before I continue on with the hustle and bustle of my day.
In a Hawaiian meeting, when you meet someone, almost the first question is, where are you from?
Okay.
Because when you say where you're from, here in Hawaii, we gain certain attributes from the place that we live.
Oh, okay.
If we live in a really wild and windy place, you get a little more hardy and a little bit more tough to your outside world. If you live in the city, then maybe not so much.
Right.
And so when you say, I come from Waikiki, it's like, But if you say, I come from Wai'ehu, then that's a country person.
Got it.
That's a person from the country.
Yeah. That's interesting. Place. Place is important. But does place also mean your place in order? Your place in family? Do the layers within matter?
Oh, yeah.
Your stature, your position, if you will?
Seniority is important. In a traditional Hawaiian family, there are two positions in the family line that are special.
Okay.
The eldest and the youngest.
Okay.
And the youngest because they are the baby brat and can get everything they want.
That's me.
That was me till my baby sister was born.
I was the baby, yeah. I am the baby.
And that happens in a family. The eldest, I have 3 children.
Right.
A girl, my daughter Lu'ukia, she's a doctor. She's a physician. She's the eldest. My son Lono is the middle. He works for Hawaiian Airlines and he's a kumuhula as well. And then my youngest, Kani'au, she's a professor here at the college and she has a PhD as well.
Right. Yeah.
So that's only 3 children. But even within the 3, Lu'ukia, who is the eldest, she knows her responsibility is to take care of all of her siblings.
Yeah.
No matter what, you have to take care of your siblings. And so at one time, they all 3 were in college at the same time. So they all lived with her.
No kidding.
They all lived with her. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then the youngest, she kind of, and she'll tell you, I was the youngest, and if I didn't want to do something, Mom didn't make me.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So
I
in
do.
a family, usually the eldest have great responsibility, but they also have great respect within the family. And the youngest is usually the one that gets away with murder.
Sure. But they respect the placement from within.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's important. That's really important. It's knowing your place. It's
And knowing where you are in the place that you live. And so in Hawaii, when I say Hawaii families, it's not just Hawaiian blooded families. It's those who have made Hawaii their home for generations.
Yeah.
And these are those who came for the plantation era and have made Hawaii their home. They pretty much feel for Hawaii the same way.
You mentioned the word inclusion before.
Mm-hmm.
Inclusion is synonymous with that plantation culture.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just elaborate a little bit on that for me?
Well, I didn't live in the plantation places, but I had friends.
Right.
And when the immigrants first came to Hawaii for the plantation, they were kept separate. They had Japanese village, they had Chinese village, they were kept separate, but they worked in the fields together.
Yeah.
And so they would share what they had, and thus we eat everybody's kind of food.
Right.
Because when you sit down for lunch, they bring what they bring from their own home and their own palate, and then they share it. It's a sharing kind of thing.
Sure.
And that's important for us, the sharing and the inclusion. Almost every Hawaiian, has Chinese in them. And that's because the first immigrants that were brought to Hawaii were Chinese.
Okay.
And they didn't come with families. It was only the males that came. So, you're finished with work and you're looking around, there's only Hawaiians here.
Right.
So we have many Hawaiians that also have Chinese.
That makes sense.
And so the inclusion in families is really, really important. And that's why it's easy for our children to have many races in them. My own children have Hawaiian, English, Filipino, and a little bit of Spanish. That's not uncommon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you go to parties, you see all kinds of food at the party because we enjoy all of these foods as well.
That makes sense, for sure. I think what I love about that, though, is how important the inclusion is. And a few things you said that really strike me is that you don't have to be from here, but if you make this your home, if you're a part of, and Chief Amos and I were talking, and Sebi were talking about this before, about the responsibility of being a part of the community. It's one thing to want to be a part of it and to be included, but in order to be included, you need to do your part.
Well, take your kids to soccer like everybody else, take them to swimming class like everybody else,
right.
And after soccer, it's come over to my house, we're getting together at my house, just like what you saw. Okay, everybody comes, and then, the children see each other and all of that. But it's that inclusion that we have here, and if you are willing to become a part, it's very easy to enter.
And where I'm transitioning and segueing to with this conversation is the stories that I'm hearing about the fires that have occurred about a month ago now, August 8th. The sense of community that's come from that. The community was here long before the fires, and the helping one another, neighbor helping neighbor, if you will. But after the fact, even more so, the stories that have been shared with me about everybody, all hands on deck. It was everybody needed and wanted to get involved to help their neighbors.
And proof of that is all the different hubs for help that came up in the various communities, because 10 of us get together, okay, let's have a place where people can come and get what they need.
Right.
And that happened all over.
Right. So I guess where I would like to take this conversation then is to kind of bring it forward a little bit to what has happened here. Your position with the college and so on, and a community leader, if you will, a cultural community leader. You are directly involved with a lot of the aftermath of the fires, if you will, for lack of better words. And I know the one thing you said to me with the different agencies that are now here. Something that you're providing. Talk about that a little bit, what you're doing.
Yeah, we've developed a cultural sensitivity training program.
So important.
And it goes through various things, and it talks about history, it talks about what values we hold, and it also talks a little bit about Hawaiian language.
Yes.
And a little bit about Pidgin. And Pidgin is an actual language. Pidgin. It's a Creole, Hawaiian Creole language, and it has its own orthography, it has its own pronunciation, it has its own vocalization.
Do you speak it?
I was not raised in Pidgin.
Right. No, I understand. I just didn't know if you
But I know how to speak Pidgin.
Wow.
But it's the difference of this. B-R-A-H, bra.
Right.
So you can say bra, and then you go bra. Two different intonations, and you go, the bra is like, okay, back up, something's happening, and the bra is, okay, come on in. So it's, there's words like how's it, over there, some.
Interesting.
And for example, among a group of Pidgin speakers, you can hear, get the thing over there, take it to that other side, you pick it up, and then we'll take it out to the way it's supposed to go. Anybody else is like, what's happening where?
Yeah.
But the Pidgin speaker knows exactly what's going on.
I get it.
So it is,
interesting.
It's before, they used to see Pidgin as being less than, that you're stupid if you speak Pidgin. But it's an actual language with its own words and orthography and vocalization, like they have in Louisiana.
Sure, absolutely.
With the French Creole,
that's right.
Same like what we have here.
Got it.
So things like that, we want them to know if they hear these words that people are speaking, find an interpreter. Just like you have any other language, find someone who speaks Pidgin or knows Pidgin and can help you. Don't dismiss it as being they're just stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So don't dismiss them. And we talk about historical trauma. We talk about our values that we hold in high regard. We talk about Hawaii has an aloha law that is in statute that we must practice aloha in our state.
I love that.
And it's a law and a statute. And people are like, what? You have a value that's set in law? And we go, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a way of life.
It is.
Right.
And so the trainings that we do is to try and help people have a base knowledge of where we are, who we are, and what is important to us.
Because so many people have responded, right? So there's a lot of, this isn't, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that this is an island, right? I mean, I get it, obviously, right? Yeah. But an island then means that it has a border around it. And
that you can see.
So the only way we can get people here, resources here, is bringing them in from outside.
Yeah. Today, before, when we don't like to say Hawaii was discovered by Captain Cook, because we were here, we knew where we are. We didn't have to be discovered.
Yeah, we didn't have to be discovered. We were already doing fine.
We already knew what we did. Yeah.
Right,
so when he came, it is estimated there were 800,000 Hawaiians.
Wow.
In passing of 50 years, it went down to 40,000.
Oh my goodness.
Because of illnesses,
that
things that came
outside.
in from the outside, and they no longer could support their own families, because they supported 800,000 people on these islands with no help from anyone
Imagine
else.
that.
And so now we have gotten away from that, and we import 90%.
Yes.
And to us, we should be going the other way.
Yeah.
To be more self-sufficient.
I understand that conversation. I think a lot of people are having that conversation, but definitely your own island. I mean, to be self-sufficient.
And to be on an island, to be an island person, it is a different view of yourself in the place that you are. You see the end of your world, so you have to get along because that's all that's here. Right. So those things are part of the training that I do. I also feel that the things that we give them is but a start to at least think. At least think a little bit. You know, one example that was given to me was when a certain agency came in and the people will go for help. They ask, I need your identification, your driver's license. Right. They said, we don't have any, it burned in the fire. Right. And they said, we can't help you without identification.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And so then, you know, the county is trying to get everybody sure. identification and stuff, but here these people are already in trauma. Yeah. And hear that, and they just clam up, they don't know what to do, and they walk away.
When bureaucracy takes over humanity, we have a problem.
We have a problem. So some of that happened, and thus this training to try and help people. If you don't understand what they're saying, maybe they're speaking Filipino, maybe right. they're speaking Absolutely. Spanish, maybe right. they're speaking Pidgin, maybe. We have many languages in our community. Yeah. So that's also an important part to know.
I mean, sensitivity training, I mean, it's what I was getting at, and you reinforced it, was the help that has responded now to try to get these communities back up and mm-hmm. at least and help are coming from the outside. Mm-hmm. And so there is a cultural learning curve that mm-hmm. has to happen here. Mm-hmm. And so I know, yeah, please.
And thus that training happens, and hopefully enough people will get it so that enough of the understanding will happen, even if not 100% yeah. can happen. One other thing I'd like to talk about please. That came out of the fire was what we heard from the community that they needed to have for their own spiritual and personal well-being.
Please talk about that.
And so a group of us, a bunch of us kumuhula, got together and designed some ceremonies in order to address some of this. The first ceremony in our calendar, a week is 10 days, because you look 30 days, 10 days, 10 days. So our week is 10 days. Okay. So we had our first ceremony for the well-being of Lahaina about 4 days after the fire, and it continued for 10 days. And the prayers were for health and for well-being of Lahaina, and we stood and we chanted towards Lahaina in order for all of that to go there. Then we had a ceremony, a traditional ceremony that was to try and guide the souls that have not left yet to go where they have to go. Because, you know, the fire came so fast yes. that realization that they were gone may not have really happened. So we heard that there were still some feelings of souls that had not left yet. So we had a ceremony, and particular kinds of woods were burned to make a fire, and then the families could come and say the names of their lost one, and they put something in the fire, and as the smoke goes up, there is a hope that they will go to where they need to go. So we had that. We had a ceremony for 12 hours to follow the movement of the sun, because we know the sun is our life. It is the sun that is the catalyst of life here sure. in the world. Sure. And their catalyst is also water. The sun brings all the different changes in water and evaporation and transpiration and rain and all of that. So we followed the sun, and we had a morning, sunrise, noontime, and sunset ceremonies to honor that movement and to bring health that the sun brings to us yeah. each and every day. And then we just finished one last week, Monday, which was to ask for the healing and cleansing of the land itself. Okay. So there were 4 spaces that we went to, the 4 edges of Lahaina, and the top and bottom, from the highest mountain down to the ocean. And we did simultaneously chants and prayers to go up, and then each area had specific ones for their area and their time. And we wanted to do it because we heard that the families are going to go back into Lahaina in about 2 weeks.
Right.
So we wanted to have them feel comfortable that we holoi ka'aina, that we cleared the land for life. And that just was completed on Monday. So we did these ceremonies in response to what the people seemed to say they needed.
So much to unpack there, right? For yourself to be a cultural leader, to be a part of these ceremonies must be an incredible honor for you, but doing it because you must. Mm-hmm. Spirituality obviously is such a large part of your culture. Mm-hmm. And this is why I wanted to find my way here, and I'm so grateful that we did, because I have a much better understanding of all of it, and to understand how spirituality takes hold and is a part of the culture explains a lot then why it's so important to preserve and protect, because it's not just property.
It's not just property.
You have a tremendous amount of history, religion, Polynesian faith culture, all these different aspects of community. It's not just the physical.
Right.
And so to understand and to be a part of that healing must be very important.
I feel it is, that we are able to bring our ancestors, our kupuna, bring our kupuna to the place and ask for their help in the next phases that we request, to be able to see our spirituality around us every day in the sun and in the wind and in the ocean, and all of that is important. And because we see it every day, we're reminded every day. You know, our ancestors believed strongly in everything they believed. They believed in wholeheartedly in whatever belief system they had. When it was the traditional system, 100% in there. When Christianity came to Hawaii, 100% into there. So as a people, we are a very spiritual people. And because of that, we look at all parts of the spirituality to try to come to aid in the healing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically of our people.
I wonder if that's part of the conflict happening now, right? There's a lot of information out there, but when you take a spirituality conversation from an outsider or even an insider that believes in the Hawaiian culture, government then typically has a hard time understanding.
Yeah.
And there's a massive miscommunication, if you will, between what the people need and have to have versus how systems work. Right? It's a little more, the Hawaiian culture, your culture is a little more gray. It's not as black and white as bureaucracy, right? And so there's that miscommunication. And so for you then to be in that position, you're brokering that respect for what needs to happen while educating the ones that are,
I feel we here on Maui are fortunate that we have a mayor that is very conscious and aware of Hawaiian culture, and is a participant, is a practitioner of Hawaiian culture. And because of that, you know, he has looked towards help for all of these cultural things to happen, and we're very glad to do that. One of the things that we say and we fully believe in is that we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors.
Love that.
Because they are buried beneath us. And so we are here because of them, and they lift us up because we stand on their shoulders. And we know when we go, we will do the same thing to the generations that follow us.
What is incredible, and what I'm hearing and learning as I go throughout this week, there's a lot of parallels when we talk about the American Fire Service. We talk about the fire service, family, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, standing on the shoulders of those that came before us, right? there's so many parallels here. Speaking and interviewing some of the firefighters this morning, and we're going to be doing more this week, there's that sense of pride, community, taking care of one another while taking care of their own homes and community. Powerful conversation. The future? What is your hopes? What do you want to see happen?
In Lahaina or in general?
In Lahaina. I mean,
Lahaina.
so we're talking about the fires. You know, I spoke with somebody today, and she's like, "Are you going to ask me what if I'm going back?" And I'm like, "Well, I kind of think I know what the answer is." And then she totally reversed course on me. I thought she would go back. She doesn't want to go back.
Too much pain.
Yeah. What do you hope for Lahaina and the future of it?
I hope that the people who return to Lahaina to make Lahaina its home think of the welfare of Lahaina and its people, and not just come because the houses are available.
Right.
To be bought or to move in.
Sure.
I also hope that a more Lahaina happens. And what I mean by that is Front Street and much of that front part of Lahaina was very tourist driven.
Right.
And the families were there, but they were in the back, in the other homes that were behind Front Street and its surrounding area. So I would hope that people will remember Lahaina not because they came for vacation, but because they were able to be with the people and to enjoy the same things the people enjoy. So I hope that it will more so become a place not only for visitors, but for visitors. If they come, they come because we invite them into our home.
Absolutely.
Like you have.
Yeah.
The other part is because many buildings then came up, many of our traditional trees and our cultural trees and plants disappeared, were taken away. So we would like that to return, if at all possible, to have it look more like during the times of our grandparents.
I get it. Sure.
And yes, progress happens, and I think both can happen.
I agree with you.
I don't think you have to choose one or the other.
Right.
So I hope for Lahaina that the people that come to live there want to make Lahaina their home, raise their families, be a part of the softball team and the swimming team and become a part of the fabric of who we are as a people.
Well, I'll tell you the conversations I have with people when Lahaina comes up in conversation, everybody shows emotion because I think they have such unbelievable memories. It was a special community.
It was.
Right, and you know,
made up of all different kinds of people. The Hongwanji Church was right down the street from the Hawaiian Congregational Church. It was right down the street from the Catholic Church.
Sure.
It was that kind of our community.
But it represents the very spirit of which Hawaii is all about, right? It's that inclusion.
Inclusion.
Community.
We believe in that wholeheartedly, and we always welcome people who believe in that too.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I will tell you this, this trip for myself, I don't want to speak for Sebi, who's off camera, but he and I speak in between interviews as we're driving to the next place, and it just, the conversations get deeper and deeper because it is profound, the impact it's having on me as a person. It really is. I mean, sitting here today with you, this has been an unbelievable conversation, and I just want to thank you for your time. And just educating me and our community a little bit more about understanding the Hawaiian cultures that are here. Because I'll tell you, before arriving here, I had no idea. And I think we have an obligation, if we're going to tell the stories of what happened here through the eyes of the firefighters and the people that were directly involved with the fires, it's important to get this piece too, so that people understand that it is not just a community that burned.
And why we are like this.
Yes.
Why Amos took you to his house and had barbecue with you with not a single thought different. And why when you talk to people they tear up because their homeland is that.
Yes.
It is the land of their home.
Yeah.
And that runs deep in many people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. It was a beautiful conversation.
Thank you.
I truly believe that this is the beginning of a wonderful friendship.
Good.
Thank you for doing this, taking time out of your busy schedule. Hokulani, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm
Absolutely.
so happy to be here.
Oh,
we
thank
will
you.
hug off camera.
We will. We can hug on camera. I don't care. But thank you. It was a wonderful conversation. Any last thoughts? Anything that maybe I didn't
Well, I don't
cover?
know if we didn't cover, but what I would like people to know
Please.
is we certainly would love to have people come and enjoy Hawaii the same way we do. We just ask that you come as if it is your home,
I love that.
if it is your own home.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing
You're welcome.
that. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Good.
Aloha.
Thank you, everybody. Aloha.
Next time on Maui Firestorm.
What's the antithesis is they think that there's satellites from outer space shooting laser beams to light this fire. I mean, are you serious? Right. We should ask the question when you drive around Maui now, go look at the urban interface areas that didn't burn. The wildfire management in those areas is remiss and negligent. We've had fire after fire after fire in these areas. We had a fire incident under Hurricane Lane that almost did the same thing that just happened. What was the defensible space adjacent to these structures? What's the assessment of that fuel? What was the assessment of that building construction, that area? What did you think wasn't going to happen? And then you throw a very limited amount of resources, which are already tasked. This community has grown exponentially, and it has not kept pace with the fire resources that should be provided to it. Let us fight the fire on our terms. Let us fight the fire with good defensible space, with reasonable, adequate resources. That's our brothers and sisters that go into an environment, and they have the courage to go in there and do what they needed to do because they were asked to go do it. What playing field did we give them? What did we ask those my brothers and sisters to go do that day? The higher up leadership, shame on you. Shame on you for putting them in that situation. That's the playing field they deserve? That's the way they're supposed to fight the fire on their terms? Yeah. Like that? That's respectable leadership? Come on. Come on. The whole fire service can know we can do better than that. We lost equipment. We could have lost several companies worth of firefighters that day. Yeah. At some point there will be that reckoning of what happened and why. I think we're going to teach the world about how a community comes together and tries to rise up from a tragedy like this. But we're also going to show the world what not to do and how not to prepare. Yeah. And what happens when you don't. This was sadly very predictable to me. Everything I see is things I've seen before. There's no surprises that I'm seeing. This is human negligence. This is human negligence that took and exposed a population. The population of people that we love and care about. They may not have known this was coming, but we did. We knew what the potential was. And then it happened. This blood's on my hands too as a member of this organization. I didn't do enough over my career. The loss of life is unacceptable. And it was something that could have been prevented. And for me, it's a nightmare.